everyone, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a new video. Today I'm going to be using quite a few of some brand new Gina K Designs products to make two different birthday cards. Both of these cards feature different techniques, and I think you'll have a lot of fun following along and using some of the ideas that I've shared today to create some really great birthday cards that you can send to people you love. So here are the products that we're going to be using today. I have quite a few things here. Let's start first with the stamp and die set. This is the Birthday Sparkle set. We also have the Playful Posies die set. This layering candles stencil set is fantastic. And then there's also a balloon stencil that I'll be using. Now, all of the products that I'm using today you can find below in the video description or over on our blog. So be sure to check out the links there. I'm lining up the layering candles stencil onto a 2 size piece of cardstock, and I've put the stencil down at an angle. And I'm going to go through each one of these candles and using some post-it paper to mask off each candle, I'm going to color each one an individual color. I want to create a rainbow of candles across this piece. So I thought that by masking off those different ones, I could get a perfect clean color on each one. So for all of the inks that I'm using here, I'm using our Simon Says Stamp Pawsitively saturated inks. I've chosen a wide assortment of colors that I thought would look great as a rainbow assortment. And I went across each one of these candles, except for the very last one, to add them onto my card panel. Then I'm going to take the second layer, which adds some fun patterns to your candles. And I'm going to go back through with either that same ink color or one that's slightly darker to add that extra little detail to each one of these. So this is going to add some fun patterns, and it's also going to give them some character, which is really cute. So after coloring each of my candles with the fun patterns, then I'm going to reposition that stencil and line it up with the candle wicks, color them with a little bit of yellow and then a darker shade on top. But before I peel that final stencil off, I am going to bring in some sparkle glitter paste here from Brutus Monroe, and I'm going to put that over top of that final layer of the candle wick. That's going to add just a little bit of sparkle to the centers of those candles, which look awesome. Now I'll fold my stamp and stencil mat in half just to remove the paper from the mat. And now I'm going to add some balloons. And this is after the paste has dried, because of course we don't want to mess up that pretty paste that we've added. But I want these balloons to be kind of hugging the right side of my card panel here. And I'm going to use the exact same colors that I used to color in my candles to add colors for the balloons. And I'm going to mix up the different sizes. I'm also allowing these balloons to overlap, which will give this a very dimensional look. I really like how this feels like a whole bunch of balloons that got released behind maybe a birthday cake or something. It's really, really fun, and it adds a lot of movement to the card too. So I used small blending brushes for all of my ink blending here. I did even come back in with those blending brushes and those same inks just to add a soft amount of ink blending to the edges over top of mostly just the balloons, because I just want to soften things a little bit and add a pop of additional color back there. So after I added the ink blending, then I'm going to go ahead and add some stamping on top. This is bringing in that Birthday Sparkle stamp set, and I'm going to use the same colors of inks that I've been using for all of the ink blending, but we're going to stamp now with some of the star images that are in the Birthday Sparkle set. So I'm using a clear block to help me do this. It's really simple to come through with a single small stamp like that and just add it with a clear block. And then I've added a final finishing touch, which was some small little dots of white gel pen detail in the background to enhance that look of sparkle. For a greeting, I'm going to use one of the sentiments from the Birthday Sparkle set, and I'm going to ink it up with my Simon Says Stamp embossing ink. I'm going to stamp this onto black cardstock, and then I'll use white embossing powder to sprinkle over top. I want a nice dark sentiment here, so that way it'll stand out amongst all the color that we've got going on. I did set this with my heat tool, and then I'm going to bring in the coordinating dies that can be used to cut out the sentiment. After die cutting the greeting, now that left me with these pieces that I can adhere onto my card. Now, you could arrange these in any manner that you wish, because it does cut apart the words into individual pieces. So I lined mine up kind of like this, where it's kind of stepping down across the candles. I felt that that was the best way to flow with the card, and it follows the movement of the candles really nicely. I use little tiny 3D foam squares from Simon Says Stamp. This is the black version, which are great because you won't actually see the adhesive from the sides of the card because it blends in with the black cardstock. I really like using the black foam squares for when I'm using dark colors of cardstock. So I did decide to turn this panel into a shaker, and I actually decided this before I glued the sentiment down. I'm going to take a clear bag. This is a clear bag that we sell at Simon's to stamp, but you could also use stamp packaging if you'd like. But this is going to allow me to create a wrapper around my card, and it's forming a pocket that I can fill it with sequins. So I did glue my sentiment onto this card panel before I started this step, and this is going to allow me then to wrap this card panel with that plastic and form a pocket. So I'm putting adhesive around all four sides of my panel, and then I'm going to lay this into the plastic and remove the release paper from 3 sides only. This is going to make sure that I can fold over the plastic and form my pocket, but still have an opening that I can put sequins inside. And if I do have any plastic that's in the corners that I feel like is a little too much, I can just come in with my scissors and trim that down so it's a little bit more flush. So now I have a pocket formed and I can fill it with sequins. I found a selection of rainbow sequins in my stash that I'm going to use to fill this up. And then I'll remove the release paper from that last edge to go ahead and close everything inside. And then that seals it up, and we've got an awesome edge-to-edge shaker that looks so cool with those bright, happy colors, the candles, and of course the sentiment being inside is really fun because it kind of catches some of those sequins, which I think is a really cool effect. So this card is bright, bold, colorful. It's really a party on a card. But maybe you want to do something a little bit more softer, maybe more pastel. Pastel is hot right now, and I wanted to use these Pink Fresh Studio watercolors. These are their pastel collection of their liquid watercolors, and I'm going to use these to create a watercolor background for the Posies die set. So I'm going to use these actually direct to paper. You don't have to do that. You could squirt these into a palette and then pick them up with your paintbrush, but I thought it'd be fun to just squirt them onto the paper and then blend them out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm squirting them and then taking a little bit of water with my paintbrush here and just feathering this out to create a little swatch of color. Now I am going in rainbow order. I've picked out a light peach color, some yellow, a green. I'm also going to bring in a blue, and then finally a purple. And then that's going to give me a soft pastel rainbow across this entire sheet of paper, which is going to look beautiful as a backdrop to the flowers that I'm going to add on top. So my background is going to get set aside to dry. The watercolors don't take too long to dry. It all depends on how much water you want to use. But then that left me with this really pretty pastel background. I die cut the Playful Posies die set from some glitter cardstock from Simon's to Stamp, and also white cardstock. I cut each of these flowers 3 times, stacked them all together with some liquid glue so that I had more dimensional flowers, and then I was able to glue these onto my watercolor background. I'm forming this little spray of flowers, which I think looks really cute, and it's going to get anchored by the sentiment that I'm going to layer on top. For all of the adhesive that I'm using, it is Simon's to Stamp Craft Tacky Glue. That's the liquid adhesive that I've been using to glue everything together. Now my sentiment is from that same Birthday Sparkle stamp set, and I'm going to emboss this one as well. But this time I chose to use a pink cardstock. This is Princess from Rainbow Splash. It's a really pretty pink, and I thought it matched nicely with the pastel colors. I'm going to use white embossing powder for this as well, and then I used my heat tool to set it before bringing in the coordinating dies and die cutting this. I'm holding this down with some very, very low-tech tape from Simon's to Stamp so that it doesn't shift while I run it through my die cut machine, and then that allows me to pop this greeting up on top of my card using some foam tape. Gina K Designs has some pretty embellishments, including these iridescent gems. I'm going to use these to add a little bit of sparkle in the background, and I'm using some of that Craft Tacky Glue to adhere them in place, just kind of a little assortment of them surrounding the flowers. And then I pop this up onto a A2 card using some foam tape. This card base is made from some Nina Desert Storm cardstock. So this one is soft and beautiful with a touch of sparkle, and it's super pretty. It's more elegant. This other one, of course, is bright and happy and fun. So 2 different ways that you can make some birthday cards using some fun techniques and also some new products from Gina K Designs. I hope you were inspired by the cards that I've shared today. Please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed, and don't forget all the products that I mentioned today you can find down in the video description or over on our blog. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back soon to share more, but until I see you again, have a wonderful day, friends, and thanks again for stopping by.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.